sweet girl. You're so sweet. My goodness. Oh my goodness. Delta's here hanging out, you guys. She's still a little conehead. You gonna hang out with me? I know. Hi, baby. Her paw's getting much better, but it's still not perfect. So the vet said 2 weeks. 2 weeks with the cone on. You poor baby. But she's probably gonna be hanging out with us for a little bit. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So we have Delta here, she's going to be hanging out, and we have a super fun video planned for today. So there is a planty tag going around, a mid-year plant tag. I believe Anna's with Plants is the one that started it. Absolutely love her channel. I followed her because of Fern, who is from the video that I saw, this mid-year plant chat, and I followed her. Absolutely love her videos. And I decided to do one of my own. So this is a mid-year plant tag. There's 12 different questions, you know, talking about your plant collection, the good, the bad, you know, all that different stuff. So I'm super excited to get into it, and I have so much to talk about. So yeah, let's just get into it. Alright, so let's get started. I have all the questions written down right here, and number one is the best plant so far this year. So I did have a little bit of a hard time coming up with single answers for each of these questions, so there are a few where there's more than one, and this is one of them. The first plant that immediately came to mind is my Anthurium regale. I have it right here. It's heavy. This is my Anthurium regale. This immediately came to mind for me as the best plant of the year because I have grown this from a little bitty baby, and I had a very hard time with it to begin with, and I'm finally getting it to size up. So you can see this leaf right here. This is by far the nicest leaf I have ever gotten on it. This was originally a leaf that I freaked out about. I was so proud about how big it was. I had never gotten it to be this big or even anything close to this big. And then recently it popped out this leaf. It's not even fully done hardening off yet. It's still the tiniest bit soft. And you can see it's much lighter green than this dark one is. But I absolutely love this plant. It is one of the harder Anthurium that I have, but I just love the look of it so much that I've been willing to put the work into it. And I was looking back on my phone. I think I got this at the end of 2024 just to make sure. I did find a picture of what it looked like around this time last year. And the leaf was so small, and I was so proud of that leaf because I've been having a hard time with the humidity on this one. I did have it outside, but even though I live in Florida, I feel like the humidity is still not enough for this plant. We get like, I don't know, maybe like 70s, 80s% humidity like normally, but it wasn't consistent. Like there would be some days where I would check where we hadn't had rain for a while, so the humidity was like 50%, and I don't think this plant liked that very much. So ever since putting it in the greenhouse, it's been so happy. And this was immediately the first plant I thought of when I thought of best plant of the year so far because even though I got it at the end of 2024, I didn't have the best time growing it in 2025. It's really been starting to take off ever since I put it in the greenhouse that I have in my house. So yeah, this was immediately the first plant I thought of when I thought of best plant of the year so far, just because I've been getting it to grow really well, and I'm just so happy with how it looks. The reason it's brown at the bottom is because I underwatered it. I knew that. I literally looked at it as it was emerging and told myself to water it, and then I didn't. So that was my bad, but I know that this Anthurium is prone to crispy edges. So I'm going to try my hardest. The next leaf, it is coming out as we speak. Hey, Delts. Coney Island head. Hey. Lay down. Thank you. Thank you. That new leaf is coming out right there. And I am telling myself I am not going to let it dry out too much because I want it to be the perfect leaf, and I am hoping that it will be. So yeah, this is immediately the first plant I thought of for best plant so far this year. I did have a second option for best plant this year because I couldn't decide. These are two that I'm really proud of, so I'm going to go get that one as well. Another option for my best plant of the year so far is my Hoya chingensis. It's right here. Can't even show you what it looks like. It is so long and luscious. The reason I wanted to pick this for best plant of the year, because I also did not buy this year, but it is the year that it has really started to grow for me. I went back and looked at my orders from Plant Haven Toronto, because that is where I purchased this plant. I purchased it at the end of 2024, the Black Friday sale, so like late November 2024. And if you have ever purchased from Plant Haven Toronto, you know that they ship out their Hoyas in sphagnum moss. Oop, my hair just busted. Where were we? Also, sorry if the lighting sucks. I don't have any like fancy lighting, so I'm working only on natural light, and we have a little bit of a stormy day, so I hope that it looks good. But yeah, this is the second option for best plant of the year, just because of how much I got it to grow. Like I was saying, I did buy this in 2024. Plant Haven Toronto ships out their Hoyas in sphagnum moss, and it took me way too long to transition it out of the sphagnum moss. I want to say it was like mid-2025. Like I had it in the sphagnum moss for months, and it was not doing well. I had it on the brink of death for months basically, because I couldn't keep it moist enough. And so I took cuttings of the plant. I didn't even bother to take the roots out of the sphagnum moss. I just took cuttings of the plant and put them in semi-hydro. I do have this in Pond, as you can see there. And that was really the game changer for me for this plant. I did have three original cuttings that turned into this ginormous plant. Once this plant was converted to semi-hydro, it just went off. It's finally starting to branch. Like, I'm starting to get some doubles. I've gotten it to bloom a couple times. I don't think it's currently blooming for me. Let me look. It does have a blasted peduncle, I think, right here. It's like pink, so I'm not sure if it's blasted or, can you see that? I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that, but it's like kind of blasting. The blooms for me are not as fun as the actual foliage of the plant. I am totally into this plant for the foliage. I think it is so cute and delicate. I love my small leafed Hoyas, and I really appreciate just how much this one has grown for me. So, like I said, it was around mid-2025 where I converted this to semi-hydro, and just, it has taken off. Once it rooted into the semi-hydro, it was just growth so fast. I do have this, like I said, in Pond. It's got a water reservoir, and it's just insane. The growth of this is absolutely insane. I'm so in love with it. Oh, there's a bunch of peduncles now that I'm looking at the tips. Let me show you this one. This is what the peduncle looks like. It just hasn't opened up yet, but they're really cute. They kind of look like Hoya Bella flowers to me, and I get them all the time, so I haven't actually smelled them before. I don't know what they smell like, but I'm super excited for these to open. Oh yeah, there's like peduncle, mini baby peduncles at almost every junction. There's another blasted one right there. This plant is heavy, it's hurting my arms. But yeah, immediately thought of this plant as well. I'm just so happy with the growth of it. I'm very proud of how it looks. I love the aesthetics of it. It does hang in my south-facing window. It's kind of like the showstopper plant. It's the biggest one there. And I'm probably going to cut it soon and put it back in the pot because the top is looking a little spindly. But as you can see, it's like popping out new branches, so I think we should be okay. And I'm just curious to see how long I can get it. I would love for it to touch the floor. I think that would be so cool. But yeah, that is my two best plants of the year so far. Absolutely love both of them, and I picked both of them because I'm so proud of the growth of them. So let's move on to question number 2, which is best plant rebound / recovery. This one immediately came to mind as well, so let me go grab that one, and I will put this one back on the south facing window. Question number 2 is best plant rebound / recovery. This plant immediately came to mind for me because I have been through a lot with this plant, and that is my Hoya Pandorata. I have it here to show you. Looks super cute now, but about this time last year, it was absolutely covered in spider mites. I really don't get spider mites that often, and when I do, they typically don't go for my Hoya. I feel like Hoya are more prone to like mealybugs and stuff like that because they have that really thick foliage, but this one was just so covered. I treated it, you know, I put it by itself so it couldn't contaminate any of my other plants. I ended up actually chucking it outside for a while because I just didn't want to deal with it at the time, and the pests were just, you know, non-stop. So I did throw it outside. I got some growth out of it. It was just a really, really long strand. And so I cut it up, and I actually put some in soil and some in semi-hydro, which I have right here. And the semi-hydro came back as well. So I have 2 plants of this. I have one currently growing in pond. Again, it's growing hanging. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the pond plant or the soil plant. I am probably going to get rid of one of them eventually. I'm just not sure which yet. Or I could combine them to get it to be a very large hanging basket. But yeah, this plant immediately came to mind for me because I was able to combat the pest that was on it. The leaves do look good now. You know, they're not perfect, but I do spray this a lot. This is also a Pandorata Splash. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. So it does look like it has a little bit of splash on it. I think that this would make a very cute hanging basket if I were to combine these. So I'm really proud that I was able to get rid of the pest on this plant. Again, like I said, I was pretty dang close to chucking this in the trash, or in the compost rather. I was pretty dang close to doing that, but I, you know, was determined. I was able to save it. So this is by far the best plant rebound of the year for me, and I think it is going to make a gorgeous hanging basket. I think what I'm probably going to do is put these in here to get it to be nice and full, and I'm super excited to see this one grow. So yeah, this is by far the plant I am the most proud of this year because I almost got rid of it. So yes, Hoya Pandorata is the plant that I'm the most proud of recovering, and happy that I still have it in my collection. So let's move on to number 3. Alright, so number 3, I have them all right here, so if you keep seeing me look to the side, that's what I'm doing. Number 3 is my favorite plant acquisition / crossed off my wish list. Now I did come up with 1 for 2 for both parts of this question, so I'll go over my favorite plant acquisition first, and that is a plant that I have brought back into my collection. I used to have, I just talked about it in my video, my recent plant purchases. I'll put the, you know, picture of what it looks like right here, but I found this at a big box store. I want to say it was Home Depot. Yeah, it was definitely Home Depot. But I cannot believe that I found this at Home Depot. I'll show you it right now. It is a variegated heartleaf philodendron. If you are a plant person, I talked about in that video, I am a COVID plant person, so I cannot believe that I found this at a big box store. It's so large and lush. I got it for $30, and I just could not believe that they had it there. It is currently living in my bathroom, and I think it just brings so much beauty. It is so beautiful. I'm so happy that I have it. So that is by far my favorite plant acquisition so far of this year. I just couldn't believe that I found it at Home Depot. And then for my favorite plant crossed off my wish list, I also talked about this in the same video. I have tried this plant multiple times and I have killed it every time, but yet it stays on my wish list and I managed to get it. We had a plant con here in Jacksonville. I was not able to go, but my friend picked this up for me, and that is the Hoya Spartioides. If you have ever seen this Hoya, it's the super crazy looking Hoya. I want to say that these are all peduncles, like these are the leaves as well as the peduncles. This is just kind of what the plant looks like. It's just going to keep shooting out more of these. And I love this Hoya. This Hoya hates me. I cannot get it to grow. This one is looking good. I haven't rotted it yet, and I want to say I see new growth coming out. I am over the moon about getting this plant back in my collection. I am determined to get it to grow well. I love it so much. I just want it to be happy and healthy in my collection. I think it is so unique and cool and something you don't see in a lot of people's collections, and that is why I love it. So this is my favorite wishlist plant. I actually got quite a few wishlist plants, you know, this year so far, but this is by far my favorite, and I'm determined to get it to grow well. So yeah, that is my answer for number 3. My favorite plant acquisition is the variegated heartleaf, and my favorite wishlist plant crossed off is this Hoya Spartioides. I think that's it. It's just so cool. Please grow for me. Please grow for me. This is going to be my 3rd try. if I kill this one, I'm not getting another one. I'm saying it right now. I'm not getting another one. This is it for me. This is the last time. Number 4 is any new plants that have caught my interest. There was 2 that immediately came to mind for me. Like I said in the intro, I heard of this tag from Wild Fern. She is one of my favorite plant creators, and I saw a video where she did a Hoya haul. I am a huge Hoya head myself, and I saw one on one of her videos and just absolutely fell in love with it. It's called the Hoya Wymanii Cloudy Sky. Gorgeous Hoya. It's unlike any other Hoya that I have in my collection, and it is so stunning. I looked at it on Plant Haven Toronto's website. I added it to my car. I'm pretty sure that I probably will pick it up soon just because I love it so much. I think it is so beautiful with the speckling. I think the leaf shape is very unique. It's like kind of crusty dusty, but also aesthetically pleasing at the same time. I don't know how to describe it, but I'll attach a picture somewhere so you can see what it looks like. But I had never heard of this Hoya before watching that video, and now it is on my wish list. I really would like to have one. So yeah, that is the first one. And then the second plant that caught my interest was, if you are someone who watches plant social media, you might have seen that at the big box stores, Costa is now bringing in cool monsteras. All sorts of cool monsteras. Sean recently bought me a Thai constellation from the big box store that I absolutely love. It's growing really big. I already have fenestrations on it and everything, but a lot of people have been finding this monstera called the Monstera White Monster. I'll attach a picture or video or something so you can see what it looks like, but they are so beautiful. One of my friends, she sells plants and planty merch and stuff. She found one, and I could not believe how beautiful it was. I think she said she paid $70 for it, so like it is expensive, but for the size you're getting and for what you're getting, it is so stunning. So I see them, you know, at the big box stores when I go, but I just haven't picked one up yet, but I'm really thinking about it. I'm really thinking about it because I think they are so cool, and to get them at the big box store so readily and for such a good price, I mean, why not, honestly? Like, I feel like this plant 5 years ago would have been 10 times the price, so to be able to get one now, and I was thinking about getting one and growing it outside here in Florida. I don't know if I'd get it to grow over winter because we do get frost, so I think it would die back. But to grow it outside, my green monstera grows outside, and it grows so beautifully here. So I thought it would be really cool to grow that one as well and hopefully get some like really crazy big leaves. I feel like for $70 I should just do it. I should just do it and experiment. Maybe I could even like trade for a cutting or something. I'm sure most people won't want to cut theirs right now, but maybe I could get a trade for it or something like that. But yeah, the 2 that instantly came to mind for plants that caught my interest, the Hoya Wymanii Cloudy Sky and the Monstera White Monster. Question number 5 was the biggest plant surprise, unexpected discovery, whether it be good or bad. I did decide to choose a good one for this question, and the one that immediately came to mind is my newfound love of begonias. I've never really been a begonia person. I've always, you know, liked philodendron, Hoyas, anthurium for the last like 2 years, but mainly philodendron and Hoyas. I do love the occasional orchid, which I have quite a few of, but I never really got into begonias at all. But I feel like I've discovered certain types that work for me. I'll talk about some of my later ones, actually the next question. There's a couple begonia that don't work for me, but there's a lot that do. I'll show you a picture or video like my begonia natuniensis. I love that plant so much. It's the plant that I look forward to seeing like every day when I wake up, and I used to never feel that way about begonias, so I think it's really cool that I've been starting to love begonias more. I did buy a bunch of begonias from Botanicas, and they're all doing really well. I love them so much. I want to get them to grow bigger because they're like cuttings and small, so I'm working on sizing them up, but I absolutely love them. I've loved you know, expanding into a new genus of plant and learning more about them. I have some in room humidity, some in terrarium conditions, and I'm just kind of experimenting with all of them. If you told the Plant Friends by Andrea, you know, 3 years ago that she would love begonias, I would think you are lying because I did not have any in my collection, didn't like them. I think I probably tried a begonia maculata and didn't grow it well, so I just, you know, gave up. I also didn't really love the aesthetics of them that much, but, you know, your plant preferences change, and as you kind of grow into the hobby, you'll realize that you might not like something you used to like and start to really love, you know, a type of plant that you didn't like before. So that's the thing that came immediately to mind when I thought of the biggest unexpected discovery so far this year, and my love of begonias, it's just growing even more. I plan to post a video about some of my favorites that I highly recommend as someone who is not an avid begonia person. I had a really hard time growing them at the beginning, but these ones for me have been very easy, very easy to grow, so I'm gonna post a video of like my recommended choices. But yeah, that is by far the biggest unexpected discovery so far of 2026, and I'm excited to get more into begonias even more and maybe add a couple more to my collection. Okay. So the next question is the biggest plant disappointment, and unfortunately 2 plants came clear as day to me in my mind. These plants have not lived up to my expectations, but I'm hoping to, you know, kind of work through that and see where we can get with them. If you follow Wild Fern, which I do, and I absolutely love her stuff, like I said before, you know this plant, and I will show you mine. It is not looking great right now. This is my begonia paulensis. It is very sad. I feel like I'm going through the exact same scenario that Fern is going through. I'll post a picture somewhere of what my paulensis used to look like. I had gorgeous big leaves. It was just growing steadily and happy, and then it kind of just went downhill one day. I had it in soil in a self-watering pot, and I'm not sure if I overwatered it or I let it get too dry and then I gave it a bunch of water, so maybe it dry rotted. Something happened and it went downhill fast, like really, really fast. And so I cut up what was left of it. I did try to propagate a couple leaves, but it didn't work. So I took what I had left of the rhizome and I put some in soil, which is, you know, actually pretty happy right now. I have it growing up here in this terrarium, and it's actually doing pretty well. I'm scared to take it out of the terrarium because I'm not loving how this one is looking, so that one is going to stay in there for a while. It's going to stay until I can, you know, make it happy. But I did actually successfully root some of the rhizome and semi-hydro, but since it's been coming back, it's just been coming back so ugly. I have a bunch of leaves to take off, but the rhizome divided, and I know Fern talked about that in her video as well, about separating them. I think I have to do that because it is just crazy looking in there. Like, there are so many growth points, and at the beginning, this was just one part of the rhizome. Like, I'm not sure why it multiplied so much, which I guess is a good thing because it's giving me a bunch of opportunities to grow, but I just wish it looked like it used to. It just looks sad now and I don't love the look of it. You know, I'm maybe finally starting to get some bigger leaves and I do love that, but it just doesn't look like it used to. So it has been a disappointment for me because it has been hard to grow. I feel like it was really easy at the beginning, but it just went downhill and I haven't been able to get it back to what it looked like before. So I would rank that as the biggest disappointment or most disappointing plant for me right now, because I just don't, I love the plant, but I don't like the way it currently looks. So yeah, that's been disappointing me a little bit. That is number 1. Let me show you number 2. So, story time behind this plant for number 2. I saw something on Facebook, actually. I don't usually look for planty stuff on Facebook, but it just so happened to like go on my timeline or whatever, and I fell in love with this plant. I thought it was so cool. If I can find the original picture, I'll show you, or the original video or whatever. But I thought it was so unique. I instantly went online and tried to find it, and it's a hard plant to find. I couldn't really find it anywhere, and I finally found it on Etsy, and it was not cheap. I think I spent $50 bucks on it. Like, I did get a lot of cuttings, but I spent $50 bucks, which is not really that cheap for a plant. and it just has not been growing the way that I want it to grow. So I will show you right now. This is my Lepismium cruciformis spiralis, and you're looking at this thinking it's really cool, you know, really, really cool, but this is what my growth looks like. Just ugly, and it's not spiraling at all. And I just think the new growth is really ugly. There's more growth over here. So like I said before, it was 50 bucks. She gave me a bunch of cuttings, and this is the bigger one. I separated them. She gave me some big cuts and some smaller ones. So these are the cuttings that she originally gave me. Like, look at this spiral. That is so cool. And I just want the plant to grow like that, but this is what I'm getting. And I really wish that it spiraled for me. I want it to do that so bad. I feel like it would look so cool to just have this humongous plant spiraling, and the small one looks even worse. Let me show you the small one. It's so ugly. This is the original, and I guess when you look at it, not all of them spiral all the time. I'm not sure if it's a lighting problem or what, but the new growth for me is so ugly. Like, I just do not like the way that looks whatsoever. It looks just long and spindly, and for some reason I'm getting a ton of aerial roots. I think it's probably more humidity than it's used to, but like, it is just ugly. I do not like the way it looks at all. I want it to look like this, and it looks very skinny, very spindly. And I have it in such bright light. I have it in my south-facing window, so it gets blasted with light. My sunroom is south-facing on one side and west-facing on the other side, so it is pretty much the brightest light you can get in an indoor environment, and it doesn't seem to be happy with that. So I think my next step for this plant is to bring it outside, see what that does. I'm really gonna try with this plant because, like I said, I did spend, you know, quite a bit of money on it, and it really was a plant that I instantly fell in love with as soon as I saw it. I just really want it to grow like how I saw it growing and how I know it can grow, because, you know, it's right there. I'm like, at first I was like, is this the wrong plant? But, you know, it's spiraling right there. So I know that the plant is what it says it is. It's just not growing well for me. And I think I'm going to cut off these ugly parts. I don't know. I don't like them at all. Really not happy with how this plant is growing in my care, but I'm going to try again. I'm going to give it more light and see what that does. Hopefully I can get some spirally growth, even if it's not this wide. I just want it to spiral. So yeah, my biggest plant disappointments this year so far are my Begonia paulensis. I just want it to grow like it used to. And my Lepismium cruciformis spiralis, I want it to spiral. I don't want it to look like this. So yeah, that is my answer for number 6, biggest plant disappointment. The next question is a new plant care revelation or supply/tool. So immediately the first thing that came to mind for me for this one is my tubs and my greenhouse. So if you watch my plant chores video, I'll link it somewhere. I left my plants for a very long time. I think it was around 6 weeks. And the only way that I was able to do that was by containing my plants in, you know, a self-contained atmosphere. So I bought a bunch of clear totes for my smaller plants, and I bought a greenhouse, just like a cheap pop-up greenhouse. I want to say it was from Miracle Grow, to put in my sunroom, and so to keep the humidity up and the moisture levels high, and I was able to do that, and I got such amazing growth with this method that I think I'm actually going to keep most of my plants in there, you know, full time. I know it's not the most aesthetic thing ever, but my plants have been growing so much. I think I'm going to do more of like the rehab plants in there, you know, the plants that I've been struggling with for a little bit. The plants that I saw the most growth with are Hoyas and Anthurium. I saw an unimaginable amount of growth on my Anthuriums ever since bumping up the humidity a little bit. It really does make a difference in the growth and the size of my Anthurium, so I'm definitely going to keep that. That was the first thing that came to mind for me because it is a supply/tool that I never used before that I'm going to now. I don't have any humidifiers in my house for my plants. I do live in Florida, so we have a naturally humid environment, but I notice inside the humidity is low because we don't want the humidity coming inside. I feel like the dehumidifiers do their job in keeping the humidity low, so inside I don't actually have that much natural humidity in my house. I really have to rely on keeping my plants outside or having them in that enclosed environment to get high humidity, and it's been working really well for me. So that was the first one that came to mind. And then I thought of two more. The first one was Osmocote, and I'll post a picture somewhere, whatever, what it looks like, but it's been working really well for me for the plants that I keep outside. I've noticed a lot of growth on them because originally I was using my little liquid fertilizer and going out there and watering, but I don't think I was doing it enough. So now what I've done is I've sprinkled Osmocote on the top of my big plants that I keep outside, and then I just water with the hose. So I don't have to bring the fertilizer out. It's just kind of fertilizing every time I water. So I think it's getting a more routine, constant supply of fertilizer versus me just fertilizing whenever I remember. So that has made a big impact on my plants outside. I've noticed a lot of growth and they are getting humongous. My philodendron that I have outside are getting humongous, and they really started to size up this year, and that was when I started putting the Osmocote on, so I think something's working. And then the last one I put is self-watering planters with soil. So I'll take a picture or whatever to show you, but I've been getting self-watering planters from a couple different places. The first one was the dollar store. I actually found some self-watering planters there. I have some from Walmart as well. And I have some from Target that I got on clearance forever ago, and that has really been a game changer for me because I am a chronic underwaterer, so I do not water nearly as much as I should, and being able to have just a little bit, these self-watering planters don't hold a bunch of water, but they do hold enough of a reservoir to keep me from not completely drying out each plant. My anthurium and my experience don't like to dry out, so having that little bit of water kind of reminds me when that is empty, it's almost time to water again. So it's just kind of like a little bit. It's a little bit more. I have even Hoya in self-watering pots. I have the more thin Hoya, like a more water than you think, so I have those in self-watering. I'll actually show that next because that's the next question. But yeah, self-water, the revelation for me is, because I used to always think that self-watering had to be semi-hydro, but you can use self-watering for soil too. You just use it for the plants that like to stay more moist. So I use it for like my African violets, my Michael Moriella vietnamensis, stuff like that that likes to have a little bit more water. Even some Hoya I have in self-watering. And it's been working really well for me as a chronic underwaterer. My plants do not get enough water, so this has been super helpful for them. Alright, so that was number 7. Number 8 is most aesthetically pleasing plant. I had a little bit of a hard time picking an answer to this question because I think all my plants are aesthetically pleasing. Well, most of them, honestly. And I am super proud of the way some of these look, but I picked the two, like in Fern's video, I picked the two that I get the most like comments on. So I will talk about the first one. The first one is my Florida Beauty Philodendron. She's right here. I absolutely love this plant. As you can see, I have cut it up to be a full plant. So let me show you. I get the most comments on the variegation on this plant. A lot of people say mine is very highly variegated, and I would have to agree. Like, that leaf is just so stunning, and this plant has been on a journey for me. So I did originally have it growing like one single piece, but I cut it up recently to get it to be fuller because that is what I did with my Florida green, just the regular green version, and I absolutely love the way it looks. And so I did that with this one, and it has been growing amazingly. I did notice the other day that I think this one has reverted, because I'm getting all green over here, but even so, I think this plant is so stunning, definitely aesthetically pleasing because of that variegation. I get a lot of comments on this one. I think it is so cool. I love the leaf shape, and I get a lot of comments every time I post this one. So yeah, this was my immediate answer for this one. Florida Beauty Philodendron. I mean, it's so stunning. I love it. So cute. And I just think it's aesthetic, like the way it splays out. It's so beautiful. It's kind of just growing out and doing its thing, and it's getting fuller now that I've cut it up a bunch. And so I think it's just going to keep getting more stunning the more that I grow it out. So yeah, that was the first one that came to mind. And then the second one that came to mind was my choice for most aesthetic, and it is a personal favorite of mine. It is the Hoya boitii. I love this plant. I love this plant because of how it lays. I love that it, you know, lays thin to the trellis. It's a more thin-leaved Hoya, which I appreciate. I also absolutely love the blooms. I've only gotten it to bloom once, but it was a revelation. I literally love the blooms on this so much, and I just absolutely love this plant. I personally think it's very aesthetically pleasing. I think it lays nicely on the trellis. It is a little bit crazy, but I think that that is also part of its aesthetic. Like, it just grows unbelievably well for me that I just keep wrapping it around and around, and so it's just kind of created this little Hoya bush that I am obsessed with. I also do have this in a self-watering pot. Like I said, I do have a few Hoya in self-watering, so it does get some extra moisture because it is a super thin-leafed Hoya, and it does like a lot of water. It does get a lot of light as well, so it wants a lot of water to maintain that, you know, type of level of moisture. But yeah, those were the two that came to mind for me. I mean, look. These are some gorgeous plants, you guys. And I've had these plants for quite a while, but I feel like they're just kind of now getting into their vibe. I think aesthetically pleasing plants to me are lush plants. That is what draws my eye. And so these both fit the bill. I mean, there's a lot of foliage going on here, and that is what catches my eye. You know, when I'm scrolling through like plant Instagram, or I see a plant, something that is full and lush and beautiful, this one fits that bill, and then this one is slowly starting to fit the bill, but it has all that variegation. So yeah, these were the two that came to mind for me. I also had a bunch of different ones, but I wanted to show, you know, some variety within my plant collection. The first one that came to mind was my Anthurium regale, but I already answered that for the first question. So these are the two that I decided to pick, and I absolutely love them. I think they are super aesthetic. Let me know if you agree, but yeah, these are two of the favorites in my collection. So the next question, number 9, is most sad looking plant. And unfortunately I had quite a few of plants to choose from, but these two were the first that came into mind. If you watched my Anthurium collection video that I just posted, you would have seen this sad looking fella. This is my Anthurium SP Limon. It is a climbing Anthurium, which I think is super freaking cool, but I neglected to care for this. I don't know why, but I saw it drying out and I just let it dry out. You know what I mean? I feel like you have times like that where you're just not really feeling the plant care, and you know that the plant is going downhill, but you don't do anything about it. And this was unfortunately one of those situations, but I did manage to bring it back. I have a new leaf coming out as we speak. So I do have this new leaf coming out, and I think I'm going to chop and then just restart this as the new plant. But I think we can all agree that this looks pretty sad. It is in a kava cup. The roots are exposed. It just is not a good look. And it was full of foliage. I let it dry out too much and they all yellowed and fell off. I do have these two leaves hanging on, but other than that, it is just a little stick. I'm so grateful that it pushed out a new growth point for me to try again. I said in the Anthurium what I'm going to do is cut this off and then start this as the fresh plant. So yeah, that was the first one that came to mind. It is a very sad looking plant. I'm going to get it to grow happy. I just neglected to care for it in time. Like I said, I knew that it was dry. I knew that it was going downhill. I just let it happen. And I am mad that I did that. But yeah, that is the first one that came to mind, my Anthurium SP Limon. The second one that came to mind for me is one that I have been working on for a while. So the first video I ever posted on this channel was my Hoya video, and I saw in real time that this plant had been decimated by flat mites. This is my Hoya Blashernazii, and this plant was long and luscious and it was beautiful and I really liked the look of it, and it just went so downhill so fast. I had no idea what was happening. And then you saw in real time that I saw this monstrosity. Look at that. That is flat mites, y'all. I did not know what flat mites were, and so I did not know what the heck was going on with this plant. But yeah, look at that. That leaf is not supposed to look like that, you guys. That is disgusting. But things have turned around for me. I do have this plant in semi-hydro, and I'm starting to get a new leaf, you can see there. So this leaf is gonna be cut off. I'm actually gonna cut it off right now. I kept the leaf on because I just didn't feel like the plant with no leaves would do well, so I did keep that leaf on. I'm not sure if that was a good idea or a bad one, but the bad, ugly leaf is off now, and we do have this new leaf growing out. So I think this plant is on the road to recovery. There's no flat mite damage on this newest leaf. So I'm hoping that by this time next year, this plant will have a whole new transformation. I really, really loved this plant when it was growing healthy, and I would love to get some more foliage back. It had really cool blooms, and I just wish that I had noticed the flat mites faster so that I could have taken care of it. But yeah, those were the two plants that immediately came to mind for the most sad looking. I'm hoping to get them to be not so sad looking by this time next year, but yeah, this is the realities of having a lot of plants, people. They're not always going to look nice, so I'm not mad at myself for it, but you know, we're going to work on it. We're going to work on it. We are on to number 10. Number 10 is any plants left to acquire or plant projects to complete before the end of 2026. So I am done acquiring plants. I've purchased a lot of new plants lately, and so I'm not in the market to buy any more. A couple projects that I do want to work on. The first one I wrote down was converting some more of my plants to semi-hydro. I want to experiment more with semi-hydro. I have a lot of Hoya in there specifically, but I wanted to try Anthurium in there. I have never grown any of my Anthurium in semi-hydro, and I just noticed personally that they like a lot of water. So typically plants that like a lot of water, I like to experiment in semi-hydro just to see if I can get the care needs down, because I personally don't water enough as much as I should, so I feel like the pond kind of takes care of that. So that is a project that I would like to work on. I'm thinking, I wrote down my Anthurium warocquianum. I have struggled with that one, so I'm thinking of just trying to convert it into pond just to see how it does. I'm not sure if it's going to be okay, but I have two of them because I chopped it and two babies came out. So I do have two opportunities, so I'm thinking of trying to keep one in soil and one in semi-hydro to see how they do. But yeah, that was the first thing that came into mind for me. Other than that, I don't have that many other things that I would like to do. I did just pretty much write converting plants to semi-hydro. I think I want to experiment with more genuses in semi-hydro. I don't think I have any philodendron in any as well. I think all my philodendron are in soil, so maybe trying one of those that's been struggling in pond, and I don't know, yeah. Just looking to try something new to see, you know, what can be done with semi-hydro. I think it's a really good way to decrease the amount of work that your plant collection needs, because you don't need to be watering as often, and it kind of shows you don't need to kind of second guess yourself whether or not it needs to be watered, because it shows you, you know, the water gauge or whatever. Okay, so we are moving on to number 11. And that is any new plant hot takes or controversial opinions. And the one that I get consistently that I wrote down is cutting my leaves off. I always get comments, like people DM me on Instagram or whatever, and I've read, if you are a follower of plant Instagram, you'll see that people say that keeping the leaves on, you know, helps the plant maintain energy. You know, that very well might be true. Yeah, that very well might be true, but if a plant has an ugly leaf, then I don't like looking at it. I'm just gonna cut it off because it's my plant. I want it to look aesthetically pleasing to me. So if there is a plant that has an ugly leaf or just a leaf that's growing weird, like on my Anthurium video, I had a leaf on my silver blush that was sticking out because I had it in less light than what it was currently growing in, and I just cut it right off, and I think the plant looks so much better that way. So I would say that is the most controversial one. I feel like I get a lot of people saying to not cut the leaves off, that it's better for the health of the plant, but I have not found that to be the case for me personally. I've never had a plant go downhill because I cut too many leaves off. You know, I've even cut my Anthurium back to a stump multiple times, and they always end up growing back for me. So I'm definitely not shy when it comes to cutting out my plants. In fact, I feel like I only get the growth that I do because I cut my plants up a lot, because pruning helps growth. You know what I mean? Like, especially with gardening and stuff, the way to get a plant to grow more full is to prune it back. So I think the same thing applies to house plants, and I do that quite often. Like with my Hoya, you know, Hoya specifically, I cut them up all the time. I cut them up to make a fuller pot, or my hanging philodendron, when I cut them, you know, they multiply. So I would say that's the most controversial opinion that I have, because I always get a comment or two telling me not to cut up my plants, but it's worked for me so far. So yeah, that's not very controversial, but it's just the one that I get a lot. So that was my answer for that one. And then number 12, the plant trends that you have seen this year. I do not follow plant trends. I feel like I used to back in the day when I first started getting houseplants. I feel like that's why I collected so many philodendron and large plants that I did not have room for. And I was just collecting plants that I saw on social media that I thought were really beautiful, that a lot of other people had. But I realized quickly that I did not have the same type of environment that those people had, and I did not have the space that those people had, because I quickly was overrun by plants in my house. I was following too many plant trends, you know what I mean? So I just grow plants that I like now. I don't like a lot of social media plants. I don't have a single allocation in my collection. I don't have that many, you know, aesthetically pleasing Instagram-y plants, but that's okay. I just grow the plants that I like and that I want to have in my home. So that is why I couldn't really come up with a question for an answer. On Anna's video, she was talking about the overconsumption of plants. I have noticed that as well when I watch plant YouTube videos now. It's a lot of plant decluttering, a lot of getting rid of plants, cutting back, you know, all that sort of thing, and I am totally for that. I think you should declutter anything, any plant or anything in your life that, you know, is not working for you. So I agree with that. I think that that is the way of the social media plant world right now. It's not collecting. It's more like working with the plants that we have. And I feel that in my collection as well. I want to make my plants as beautiful as possible. I don't want a million plants. It's definitely a quality over quantity situation. I am decreasing the amount of plants that I have, but I want them to be more beautiful and aesthetically pleasing in my home. So I definitely agree with that. And then one thing that I wrote that I have noticed is that I feel like a lot more people are having regular plants instead of rare plants, you know? We do not all have money to be spending a crazy amount of money on plants. I would rather just have cool plants that are cheap, that make me happy. I'm not dropping $100 on a plant anymore. I feel like that was COVID days. That's not happening anymore in my life. I just like what I like, and I'd rather trade for a cool plant than spend a bunch of money on it. That was the thing that immediately came to mind for me. So yes, that was the mid-year plant tag questions. I hope you enjoyed watching it in terms of the questions being answered from my collection. I absolutely loved filming this type of video. I love talking about my collection. I also just love talking about plants in general. So I really enjoyed filming this video. If you have any questions, please let me know. I would be more than happy to answer. Also, make sure to follow Anna's channel. She's the one who created this tag. She is amazing. I've already hyperfixated on her channel. I watched like 15 videos, so I absolutely love her channel. I'm going to be definitely watching her videos in the future, and so I thank you, Anna, for creating this tag. I absolutely had so much fun filming it. Also, Fern, one of my favorite planty creators, she is who I originally saw this video from, so definitely give her a follow as well. I'm sure you're already following both of them because they are both incredible. I would love to hear your answer to these questions as well. You can just drop a comment below if you have something to add to this conversation. I would love to hear your experience when it comes to your plants individually. If you don't have a channel or whatever and you want to just talk about plants, feel free to drop a comment on this video. I would love to talk to you about them. Yeah, I think that is about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!